All right, sweet. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear.
All right, perfect. Yeah, no, definitely not doing all that. All right, I'm just gonna give it like a few more minutes and then I'll probably start. Oh. All right, so I think I'm gonna start. So for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Skylar. I'm the owner of the Discord and everything. I am the guy that, you know, moderates stuff. I'm usually answering most of the questions. I'm not a TA. I had a few people ask me if I'm a TA. I'm not. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I know we're reviewing for exam 2 and everything. Let me share my screen. Let me let Andrea in real quick. And then, yeah. So, yeah, pretty much share. You guys can see everything now, right?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, sweet. You guys can see my iPad like this. You guys can see the iPad, right?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So yeah, so pretty much I'll just review everything. I'm not gonna go as in depth as the TA did last night and everything. Let me just mute all notifications. Yeah, pretty much as like the TA did last night, because we've already gone over this a million times. There's like no point. So pretty much the first thing that we'll learn about is, just because it's the building blocks of everything, is sequential circuits. And literally, I know someone asked like, hey, what is that? Sequential circuits is literally just, is literally just the basics that we just learned. So like the NAND and the NOR gate. The reason why we have NAND, which is this one right here, is because before, the way that we got a NAND gate was by having an AND gate and then by connecting it to a NOT gate. Well, I've taken the CS version of this. The CS version of this class, like what they teach you is like, hey, if you're actually going to do this as like a career and everything, if you keep this one gate right here, this AND gate, and then this NOT gate, and then this wiring, you know, in between, every single time you do that, you know, if you're doing it on like thousands and thousands and thousands of like logic circuits that you're designing, you're going to waste a lot of money for the company. So what pretty much this is for is it's just the same thing, because so like with X and Y, you know, you have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Well, with, put NAND right here. With an AND gate, I'm going to put AND over here. With an AND gate, it would just be 0, 0, 0, 1, because you need X and Y to be 1. Well, pretty much with a NAND gate, it's opposite. So if it's a 0 for AND, it just becomes a 1. So 1, 1, 1, 0. Does anyone have any questions with that? I think I let you in already. But does anyone have like any questions about the NAND gate and everything, or no?
I think we're good.
I figured. And then there's the NOR gate, which is literally the exact same thing. So NOR gate, this is the symbol. You still have your 2 inputs and then your 1 output. It's the exact same thing as an OR gate. So the OR gate and everything, how you would have this, it's like that, but with a NOT gate connected to it. So if X, Y, NOR, and then OR. And sorry if my handwriting is absolute shit, because it is. But NOR gate, so for OR, it'd be 0, 1, 1, 1. For the NOR gate, it's the exact same thing, just flip it. 1, 0, 0, 0. Someone asked last night, they're like, oh, wouldn't the last one still be 1? No, that last one that you were talking about and everything, that was, or like they're asking for NOR. So for this one right here, they're like, oh, wouldn't this last one be 1 also? No, for that would be if it was like an exclusive OR with a NOT gate. But for an OR, we're looking at this right here. And we're just flipping it. That's pretty much it. The same thing. The reason why we do this is because if you're actually like designing circuits and everything, you're just trying to save as much money as possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it for sequential circuits. Does anyone have like any questions at all? All right, sweet. I'm gonna take that as a no. So that was pretty much the first thing that we learned. And then the next thing that we learned was like an SR flip-flop, which everyone, you're gonna pretty much hear the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again because it's all the exact same stuff. So pretty much an SR flip-flop. And if my handwriting's awful and you can't read it, let me know, like in the comments or whatever. And I'll try to take care of it as best as I can. So with an SR flip-flop, you have S, and then you have R. And then we've been using NOR gates. You can do this with a NAND gate if you want to. I wouldn't, because with a NAND gate, it acts differently. And with the NOR gate, it's just easier to follow along because pretty much with the NOR gate, it's just 0 and 0 that you're looking for. Everything else just becomes, 0 and 0 gives you 1. Everything else just becomes 0. So with an SR flip-flop, you have S going into the top NOR gate, and then at the bottom NOR gate, you also have R going into it. And then you pretty much right here, where I'm drawing like the little circle, you're gonna connect the output from Q, the output from this NOR gate, you're gonna connect it into this NOR gate. And then for the other side, it's exactly the same thing. You just connect Q naught, you just connect it into here. Anyone have any questions about that? About the SR flip-flop?
How would it act like with values and all that?
So pretty much with values and everything, you're always going to set Q equal to something. So like when we did that truth table, we had S, R, and then we had Q of T. So Q of T is pretty much just, what about the clock connected to it? I'll get to that in a second. This is, yeah. Is Montagne in this? There's definitely no way Montagne's in this. So yeah, so when you have the S, R, and then the Q of T or the Q of T plus 1, Q of T is pretty much just describing what Q is at first. So pretty much if Q is equal to 0 at first, and I remember that we did like that huge table or whatever, and if S is equal to 0, then what there is there's no change in it at all, because you're gonna have 0 come over into this NOR gate. You're gonna have 0 and 0, that's gonna give you 1, and then you're gonna have a 1 come over here. If R is also 0, then you're gonna get 0 right here. Because if you come up here to this NOR gate, 0 and 1 right here gives you 0 still. And that's pretty much it. So you're always going to have a QT, and he'll let you know what QT is. And QT is just what the starting value of Q is. Anyone have any questions on that? So I know we had talked about the characteristic table and everything. Do you guys even want me to go over the characteristic table at all or no? Because like I'll go over if you.
Like the K-maps?
What's up?
Is that the same as the K-maps? That's what you're talking about?
No, the characteristic table for the SR. So like we had like on the review last night, it was the SR, and then it was the Q of T plus 1, and then it was like the 0, 0 with the no change and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
But for with a clock and everything, with a clock is pretty easy. It's not that bad. It's literally exactly the same, except you're just adding an AND gate. So you're going to take an SR, so S, R, and then you can write clock if you want. I usually just write C because I usually know what you're talking about. And you're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to make this a lot bigger so it just makes it easier to follow along. You're going to have your NOR gate here, and you're going to have your NOR gate here. And then you're going to have your Q naught, or your Q down here, your Q naught up here. And you're still going to have the same lines coming out. Except what the difference is with a clock, you're going to add an AND gate right before the NOR. And the reason for this is because, so when we were talking about clocks and everything, what a clock pretty much does is, so when you look at a clock and everything right above the S that I drew, you have on and off. So, when it's down, it's off. When it's up, it's on. So that's pretty much what it is you're just having 0 and 1s constantly. If it's a 1, it's on. If it's a 0, it's off. Yeah, that's pretty much what SpongeBob said. It's pretty much just, it's an on and off switch. It's just to tell you like which value you want to let input first. So you just have the AND gate, the clock just runs into the AND gates with the S and the R, the output just runs into the NOR gate, and it's the same connection. You just connect it all the same. And that's pretty much it.
I have a question about the clock.
Yeah, what's up?
Does the clock basically send like a tick of 1 at the exact same time to both gates, or is it like?
So it does do it at the exact same time to both gates. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to like let them know like, hey, you can pass the value through right now. Because without the clock and everything, like without the clock and everything, pretty much what would happen is it would just start automatically trying to accept things and you might not have something ready. So what the clock is there for is to pretty much, when you're designing a circuit, it's pretty much like with the CPU, turning it on or off to make sure like it gets what it's supposed to.
Gotcha. So it's just like a lock.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. So it doesn't waste energy and time.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you guys see some weird shit, my messages might pop up. It's my friends from back home, like pretty much flipping out. And then we have the D flip-flop. I know 100% for sure that that's not you, Professor Montagny. Does anyone have any questions on SR flip-flop with the clock or no?
No.
If not, I'm just going to move on to the D flip-flop, which is literally exactly the same. So the D flip-flop, what you do is you use, pretty much for the D flip-flop and everything, you're going to use this one, the SR flip-flop with the clock. So with the clock tick and everything, you only have one input, which is pretty nice. And then what happens is you're going to have that run into an AND gate, just like the SR flip-flop. And then from that AND gate, it goes to the NOR gate. And it goes out to Q, not. And then from D, you're going to connect it right here. And you're going to go down and put a NOT gate. So the reason why, and I skipped over this with SR because it's the characteristic things, and we've gone over that so many times, but pretty much what it is in an SR flip-flop, when you have 1 and 1 go through, you're going to get an undefined state. So if you have 1 come out through here, so if you have 1 come here right next to the S AND gate right here, and if you have a 1 down here come out, you're going to get an undefined state where it's pretty much like what the TA mentioned last night. You're going to get an infinite loop where pretty much both of them are going to fight for the materials at the same time, and it's just not going to end well. So what the D flip-flop is for is, say if D were 1, so this gate right here would get a 1 coming into it. This NOT gate right here would flip it so that this would be 0. What it pretty much does is, so the regardless of QT, yeah, if you get 1 and 1, it doesn't matter what QT is. It's just going to be undefined no matter what. QT could be 1, it could be 0. It doesn't matter. Both of them are going to pretty much fight for the resources at the same time. It's just going to be an infinite loop. So you're not going to get anything done. But a D flip-flop, it pretty much swaps it. So that way we can never get that undefined state. We're always going to get we're either going to get, you know, the 0, 1 or the 1, 0. So for the SR characteristic table, probably should have done it, but oh well. Here, I'll move this down so I can do it. As you guys can tell, I'm not a TA at all. So for the SR flip-flop, the characteristic table, I'm just abbreviating because I'm not going to spend forever on it. So pretty much what it is if you have S, you have R. This is going to describe QT plus 1. So QT plus 1, if S and R is both 0, there's no change. So what QT is it's based off of Q, or QT plus 1 is based off of Q of T. So if Q of T is 1, then it's going to be 1. If Q of T is 0, then it's going to be 0. Here, let me let this participant in. God, Travis. If S and R is 0 and 1, then pretty much what that is it's going to be 0. QT plus 1 is going to be 0. If S is 1, is R 0, then it's 1. And if it's 1 and 1, it's undefined. Again, because, you know, we have that infinite loop. And then pretty much down here, what that does for the D flip-flop table is it pretty much just keeps it from that infinite loop happening. And then again, just the same connections as before, where you're going to take Q naught and you're going to connect it to the NOR gates right here, to both this one. And you're going to take Q naught, you're going to connect it to the bottom one, you're going to take Q and connect it to the top one. But yeah, Micah Cartwright. So up here with the SR flip-flop, I don't know if you heard me, it doesn't matter what Q of T is. If it's 1 and 1, it's going to be an infinite loop pretty much. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I'm gonna check the Discord real quick and see like if anyone posted any questions on there. I don't think so. But yeah, so no questions. Does anyone have any questions about D flip-flops? So this is, just letting you know, this up here is at the gate level. Let me put it right above it. So this is at the gate level, which is what you hear me, if you've looked at the notes that I've like made for the study guide and everything on there, this is the gate level. Do I think he'll ask to where he'll do the MDR 2A at the gate level? No, I don't think so, because that's a lot of drawing. And the reason why is, so if we were to do that question, which let me pull up that MDR, it's going to be a lot. It's going to take you at least probably like 30 to 40 minutes for that one question. And originally he was planning on this being 50. If you guys want to, I can draw that out for you. But I don't think he will. For D flip-flops, it works exactly, so for Tom Nook, for D flip-flops, it works exactly like SR flip-flops, except now we're only worried about these two. So this would be for the D flip-flop. And the reason why is because it's literally, besides this point right here, if you get rid of this right here, it's literally an SR flip-flop, and then you can have the clock plugged into it, which I forgot to draw the clock. I normally do like the clock down here, and then I just bring it up and then I just connect it. But besides just the fact that there's an AND gate with one input that goes to both, it's literally just an SR. Yep, I'll show you the box level and everything. So if you want to see that MDR 2A, give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to pull it up right now on my phone. So at the box level, which I'll show you real quick, and let me draw the box level for D flip-flops. So the box level for D flip-flops is literally just a box. And on one side, you have D, which is your input. You have your clock tick, which we always mark as a triangle. And then on the other side, we have Q, and then Q naught. I know that Q is technically on the wrong side because at the gate level, you see it on the bottom, and Q naught is on the top. And then at the box level, we have it flipped. The main reason why they do that, and you'll see this, it's just for simplicity. It's literally just to make it easier to design circuits. At least that's how I was taught when I took this at at least that's how I was taught when I took the CS level. It was just made just for simplicity. I'm not even gonna pronounce that name. The question about is the exam review guide you made pinned somewhere? Yes, it should be pinned underneath notes. Does anyone have any questions about the D flip-flop at all? Sweet. And I'll post if you guys have iOS devices, I'll post the notes. If not, I'll post it in a PDF. All right, so this is I'm gonna work on that MDR. Can you make a circle clock with JK flip-flops too? The counter clock with it? Yeah, I can do that. When we get to JK flip-flops, I'll do it afterwards. So this is gonna be that MDR to the accumulator question. So an MDR to an accumulator is literally just one side of, I'll do K-maps, that'll be later. So an MDR and an accumulator is very similar. You literally have your D flip-flops on this side and everything. And then I'm gonna do 3, or unless if you guys want me to do more, but I'm gonna do 3. I'm sorry if it looks awful, but. And same for down here. So both sides do have D flip-flops and everything. Literally, the way that it just connects is, give me 2 seconds just to finish this last part. Yeah, I'll do K-maps and everything. All right. So the way that it just connects is you're just going to take, this will be MDR, and this will be the accumulator, which A is the accumulator. You're literally just going to connect Q on one side to D on the other side. And then on the accumulator side, I'm going to do it below for the first one, but you're literally just going to connect Q on one side to D on the other side. And it's same thing for the rest. What's up? Oh, someone's talking to their mom. And then for the accumulator, it's literally just connect Q on one side to D on the other. And then the last thing, and don't forget this, because I've been told that he will take off points, is that he wants a clock tick. So I usually do it in separate colors. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can label it however you want. And usually I just put this as I usually put this as C0. You know, he might ask for you to put CX and CY. Like the question that he might put is draw an MDR that, connects to an accumulator using D flip-flop registers with clock tick from clock Y and clock X. Am I planning on? Yeah, I plan on doing it because it's just so much easier for me. And then for the other one, It's literally exactly the same thing. If he does ask for it, and I highly doubt it because again, it's going to be a lot of drawing. If he asks for this at the gate level, you're literally just going to draw this, but you're going to draw a bunch of them. I don't think he will. If he does, it means he hates us and that we're all terrible students.
I know he said that we're gonna do the box level for this part, and the only thing he's asking for the gate level is just like the demultiplexer and the multiplexer itself.
Yeah, and I'll do the demultiplexer to multiplexer. That's honestly not that bad. So yeah, I figured because most circuit designs, if you've ever taken like any class where you have to design a circuit and everything, pretty much like you first start off by making it at the gate level. So like the D flip-flops, the SR flip-flops, and then you move on to the box level because literally just redoing it over and over and over and over and over again of the gate level just stinks. Whereas at the box level, it's literally just copy and paste, which I don't know if he will. And when I took computer logic and organization when I was a CS major, we did a software program where we made like a
Sorry,
calendar
Mom.
using this.
I have to do review.
Excuse me. I have one question about
What's
the
up?
thing you just went over. You see how you have 3 of them? Is that for like 3 bits? What, like?
Yeah, he might ask for like with 3 registers. So
Oh,
3
okay. So
registers in the
that's just the
accumulator.
amount of registers.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
If he
Okay,
said
thank you.
4, it'd literally just be like, just draw
Add
another
one
4th
more.
box
Yeah.
level.
Okay,
Like that.
gotcha.
That's literally it.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know exactly what they were. So I didn't know
Yeah.
that they were registers. Thank you.
Yeah, it's registers. You can also call it bits if he wants to. It's the exact same thing. I'm going to take a guess and say he'll say registers.
Hey, Skylar.
What's up?
He said something about like he can ask us a question like, "Give me a design of 4 register of 1 bit each." Like, what does that mean?
4 registers of 1 bit each and everything. Is this for the MDR to the accumulator?
I don't remember exactly what he was talking about, but I didn't get like how can you have like 1 bit for 4 registers?
So if what he might be talking about is, and I'll double check and everything with the TA, is just the D flip flop like this because you're only having 1 bit go in. So he might be talking about this, and I'm not sure. Which 4 registers would be like just draw another D flip flop. But I'll ask the TA and everything. I'll email her tonight and just double check and make sure.
Okay.
But I don't remember that. But let me go like grab my notes and just double check on my phone real quick.
Does your review like goes mostly on what the TA told you that is probably coming on the test?
No, I do what like Montagny told us. So like I have like, so I can look at the notes that I took on that day with everything I have on my phone while I'm like drawing on the iPad. So I do like what he pretty much says.
Okay.
And the next one is, I believe, the ring counter, which I'm just going to show because he did mention this in class. So what the ring counter is it's just a D flip flop. He might ask this question. The TA didn't mention it last night, I'm pretty sure. He might not, but pretty much we'll see. How would we answer if he asked which clock gets the tick first? Oh, so for this one. Sorry, Tom. So with that question, he's going to have to let you know first. If he's like, okay, I want the accumulator to receive something from the MDR. So say if you were to ask like, oh, I have information in the MDR and I want to move it to the accumulator. Which registers gets the clock tick first? It's the one that you're moving it to first. So for this one right here. So yeah, so it's the same thing, SpongeBob, the one receiving the data. So if he wants to move something from the MDR to the accumulator has to get it first. And pretty much what you're telling it is when you send that clock tick, that link is already there. You're telling it, okay, open the gate and let everything in. And then the clock tick, it's only there for a second. So pretty much it goes on and then it turns off immediately. So in that quick second, it moves from the MDR all the way over to the accumulator. And then say if he was like, oh, I have something in the accumulator and I want to move it to the MDR, it's the opposite. It's literally just, okay, you're going to turn the clock tick on here first. Let me erase everything else that I've done. So you're going to turn the clock tick on here first. And then pretty much what it does is it sends the data from Q over the MDR, because you're pretty much just telling MDR, okay, hey, like open the gates, let the info in, and then close it. If you want to think of D as like a gate, pretty much. Oh, a million bells? Bro, Tom Nook in the actual game charges way more for that. So this one right here, this is, I believe we called it the ring counter. No, there's no substitutes for that right now. If you want your house upgrade, you need to pay in bells. So ring counter, and I'm putting this pretty close. You can space it out a little bit more if you want. So the reason why we don't have Q naught, you can have Q naught if you want. I'll just draw it just to, you know, I don't want to confuse anyone. Literally, we don't care about Q naught right now. Like, we're not going to take anything in or take anything out for Q naught. But pretty much for the ring counter, you're just going to connect Q on one to the D on the next one. And then for this bottom one right here, you're literally just going to connect it. Yeah, he didn't really, yeah, Gregory, he didn't use it. I just put it on there so that people wouldn't get confused and be like, where did Q not go? And then the Q not, and then the Q from the bottom and everything, that just connects to the D at the top. And then just don't forget your clock tick. I'm going to use different colors. You guys don't have to. I'm just trying to make it easier and everything to follow along. Great. I don't know if that like just blew out your speakers. Yeah, Don Jones is, Travis, Don Jones is literally the most useless professor I've ever had.
What do you mean he deletes his tests?
Yeah.
Or his
he deletes his-
cat deletes his tests and then he doesn't give it to you. It's great.
It literally, like, this class, everyone, like, I was like, oh man, that seems kind of interesting. And literally we've only done one thing.
Travis knows.
Last semester, his cats deleted his quiz results. Oh my God.
That literally happened. I wasn't kidding.
I don't, how? I've seen him call this T1 or B1 or whatever else you want to call it. I called it T1, T2, and T3 in my notes. I've also written down, like, you can call it whatever you want. He'll probably tell you what to call the outputs. He'll probably say, oh, call the outputs B1 or whatever. This one right here. I called it T1, T2, T3 for, you know, the output ticks. But that's pretty much it. Like, and he might ask us like trace it. So say if T1, and I'm gonna make up a random problem right now. If T1 is 0, T2 is 1, and T3 is 1. If we send a clock tick, so we're gonna so say if clock is equal to 0, and then we're gonna make the top clock tick green, and then it goes to 1. So when it turns on, this is gonna go, all this is gonna change. This is gonna go to 1, this is gonna go to 0, and this is gonna go to 1. Pretty much think of moving it down like this. So that's pretty much it. And if he asks you to do another one, say if he's just like, hey, you know, then there's another clock tick that I'm gonna put in gold and everything. So then it goes to 1 again. This is all going to change, and pretty much just think about it as going down again. This was 1 before, but this is going to be 1, this is going to be 1, and then this is going to be 0. Again, it's just literally just moving it down again and again. That's pretty much it. I remember he said that he might ask a question about that at the box level. Like he might ask about that, and then he might ask like a tracing problem, like say if like output 1 and output 1 0, output 2 is 1, and output 3 is 1. You know, trace the outputs at each clock tick. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, his wording, the only thing I would say is his wording might be weird. It's realistically, it's actually not that bad, Gregory. Like just you'll have plenty of time. I think the TA said that she talked to him and he's giving us 3 hours. So you have plenty of time to, you know, be able to like kind of work through the wording. All right. So is there any other questions? Was there another like D
Yeah.
flip-flop one?
I have a question about the ring counter.
Mhm.
Every time this increments, does it literally count up by 1? Because one of the TAs told me that this can count up to like 2 to the nth power minus 1, so this could technically count up to 7, the ring counter you made.
Yeah, pretty much it can do that.
Gotcha. So like the way that you were explaining it, you say you drag everything down by 1, but if you keep doing that, then like how would it ever all be filled with 1s? You know what I mean?
So I know when we did it yesterday and everything, you can add 1 to it. How come sometimes T1, et cetera, clips and the other times it doesn't? What do you mean by clips? So on it and everything, when we talked about this yesterday, it can technically add up to it, but as of right now, it's literally like just moving it down and everything. He might just ask you to do a tracing one. You can do an addition one with it, but when we did it and everything, we just talked about moving it.
Oh, so basically there's different types and the tracing one just okay, I
Mhm.
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
like he had talked about doing a tracing one where literally it's like just move it down and everything.
So would the purpose of like the tracing one be like, let's just say only one of them had the 1 and you only wanted to send like data from one register at a time, then
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, then the next one would get the 1 and it could send the data through basically.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Like I just put the 0 1, the 0 1 1 just to like change it up so we're not doing the same
Yeah,
question.
yeah. But it could just be a 1. Okay, I understand.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, let me just double check these questions and everything. So I went back to my home screen by accident. Yeah, the announcement says 3 hours to complete it. Yeah, for example, T1 is 0, then 1, then 1. While, oh, so the reason why for that, Stephanie, is because, so to kind of backtrack. So when we're in green and everything, so green is after the first tick and everything. So after the first tick, that's because I wrote it down wrong. That's why you're confused. Sorry. This is 1 right here. So then the first tick, this moves this down to here. So then this becomes 1. And then this moves this up to here. And then this moves a 0 down to here. So pretty much what it's doing is it's just, when we do the tick, we're moving the 0 down to T2 from T1 to T2. And then we're moving the 1 from T2 to T3, and then the T3 all the way up to T1. That's pretty much it. Sorry for like all the arrows and stuff. Yep, that's pretty much it. The next thing that I was gonna do was the JK flip-flops, if you guys wanted to. I don't know if you guys have done this enough or not. Like today I figured it was just gonna be pretty chill and it was gonna be pretty quick because we've done this a lot already. Like we've done this a lot. So a JK flip-flop Let me just double check Discord just to make sure I'm not skipping any questions in there. I'm just looking at some of like what Ducks Knees has said. All right, so for the JK flip-flop, everything that we build off of is pretty much off of the SR flip-flop. So the SR flip-flop at the box level looks like this. So you have your S, you have your R, you have your clock tick right here, then you have Q and Q naught. Again, I know compared to the SR flip-flop that was up here, where Q naught was on top and Q was on the bottom, we just flip it just for simplicity, just so that way we can like design circuits and everything. So you're gonna have your J, it's gonna be very similar to like a D flip-flop with the clock in it. You're gonna have your J, your K, and then you're gonna have an AND gate. But the difference is you're pretty much going to connect Q here with this AND gate all the way over here, and then have J run into it. Sorry, other way around. Sorry, it's the other way around. It's supposed to be, I believe, Q with K and then Q naught with J. And I'm gonna double check that real quick in my notes, just in case if I drew it wrong yesterday.
That's correct.
It's, what is
Q
it?
naught with J. It's Q naught connects to J and Q connects to K.
So Q with K and then Q naught with J, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote it down wrong yesterday. I don't know why, but I guess I did. I guess I was just too busy being bored. And then Q naught here, and then pretty much it's just straight into, like normal, into S and R, and then just you have your clock tick, which I always draw the clock tick coming out and then down. You can literally just leave it coming out if you want to. But I usually just do that just so that way they can follow it a lot easier. Sorry if this isn't like the most like professional review session. I was just gonna try and like knock it out so that way we can, you know, everyone can enjoy their night and then like just rest before the exam in 12 hours.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you're good. We're almost done anyways. It's not that much left.
All right. And then the next one, I can't remember what we called this. I'm trying to look it up and see and everything. Give me like 2 seconds to see.
Is it the program counter from the JK?
I think that's what it's called. The one with the JK flip-flops. And then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can't remember what we called it and everything. I never wrote it down.
I
But
think it's the program counter. It's the one with the end gates on the left side, right? The connect downwards, and it has it ends with a carry out.
yeah, so it's pretty much whoops. Pretty much you got your enable over here. He might ask the same thing where you pretty much follow it and everything. You have your JK flip-flop at the box level. I really doubt he's going to ask you to draw it at the gate level. Only reason why is because, again, you'd have to do a lot of like drawing the same thing over and over again, and it's just going to get quickly repetitive. But you have J, K, you have your little caret thing. Yeah, it's like the JK counter register or the problem, you know, clock. It's something. I can't remember what it is. Then you have your Q. Again, we can have Q naught, but we're just ignoring it. I mean, you can put it here if you want to, but we never use it in this instance. You're going to have this come out. He called it B1. I usually just say out. Like he called it B0. I called it, you know, out 0, just because that's your output. And then pretty much from here, you're going to have that connect to there. And then connect it to K. You're going to have your output here, come down, around, and then you're going to have an AND gate right here. and then just another JK at the box level again. Again, he called it like B1. Yeah. Is it binary counter? But he called it like B1. I just call it out one because I don't know why. I think it's simpler to follow just by saying out. You can call it whatever you want. It's literally the exact same thing. And then again, you're just going to have another AND gate right here. He might ask for this, and I don't know if he's going to ask for it with more or less registers. So if it is more registers and everything. So right now I'm going to do a third one and everything. And connect this output right here to this AND gate. This one here. We're going to do J, we're going to do K, or caret, or Q, or Q naught. And then we're going to have our out 2 coming down, boom, and then boom. Now I'm going to do like a really small JK real quick. So this would be if he asked for 4. If he asked for 4, it's literally exactly the same thing, except you're just adding another one. Oh, thank you. Yeah, just remember that. I lost points on easy things on the first exam. Like when I talked to him afterwards, I was like, I got a 90. And I was pretty much like why'd I get a 90? And I just like simple things I lost points out on. And in case of this looks bad, guys, this is supposed to be an AND gate, and so is this one. So like a D pretty much. And then just don't forget your clock. Again, I just do mine in different colors to make it easy. And it just runs all the way down. I'm going to run out of space right here. Maybe just run it into here. And I know he never actually explained this, but the reason why we put these little dots right here, if you've ever taken like any like logic diagram class and stuff like that, it's pretty much like you're soldering a wire onto it. Like all these little lines and everything that we have. So like here and here, like all these lines, they're wires, and we're pretty much just like soldering them together. So that's pretty much it. After the last AND gate, do you have to put anything, or can you just leave a line? Isn't the last box level connected to a carryout? Yeah, it is. This doesn't have a carryout. I just didn't do the carryout yet because I'm running out of space. But pretty much the carryout is, I'm trying to pull it up. Hey, whoever has their mic on, can you mute it, please?
Because she thought that they would be a good influence. That's what I told her. Right. How'd you say it?
Oh no, it's okay. No, it's fine. This doesn't have a carryout, but I believe the carryout is. Give me 2 seconds to pull my notes up.
Yes, we got one. Okay, the snowball is rolling, and who else? You can put it on for a couple of days.
Spencer, your phone's mic's on.
Yo, who doing Greg during your lecture? That was
Appreciate it.
whoever that one person was. That was hilarious. They're like, he's like, hey, someone's mic on. Good morning, professor. Good morning. Can you turn it off? I don't know why, but that was probably the best part of my morning that one morning. I'm just trying to double check and see and everything. One thing you might also see if you guys actually look up problems and everything online is you might see, and I've seen this before, instead of it being Q naught, like in this box right here. So in this one right here that I have this arrow pointing to, instead of it being Q naught, you might see where it's like there's a second Q, but there's like a little knot bubble on the outside. It's the exact same thing.
I feel like if you add that on your exam, he's probably gonna know you googled something because it's the same
Yeah,
thing, but it will definitely know you googled that for sure.
yeah, I would say don't do that because then he knows that you're for sure Googling stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't find it with the carry output. I'm pretty sure that the carry output's just like an AND gate at the end, but that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions and everything?
In the lectures, he put like numbers in there in the JK flip-flops and like the
Mhm.
outs, like B0, 1, and 2. So like, can you go over how the tracing of the numbers would be?
Yeah, definitely. Let me pull up my notes on that and everything if I can find them because
Yeah,
wreck right now.
he's only gonna give you one value. That's the count enable. He either make it 1 or 0. Then you gotta fill in the rest.
Yeah, so I know which one you're talking about. I'm gonna do it with the 3. I'm gonna get rid of this 4th one and everything. Just because, and I'll redraw that line, just because it'll be easier for me to trace. All right, so what it is, and let me redraw this clock tick line and everything. So clock right here. So pretty much what it was say if count enabled right here. So enable up top. Say if it was set to 1 and everything. So with the JK flip-flop, we've got it right here. We pretty much just need to follow how everything is. So typically B0, which is what he called it, I call it out 0. Usually what we do is we always have it set at 2-0. When in doubt, we're always going to have it. Always be 1 in this instance since they're connected to the same wire. Yes, both of them would be 1 in this instance. So when you come here, he set it to 1, and then he drew another 1 here, and then he put another 1 here. Clock tick 2, he didn't put the clock tick on, but pretty much when you're expecting the clock tick to be 1. And the only reason why is because think of J and K as like 2 separate gates. Clock tick needs to be 1 for them to open it and take the input in. But yeah, so pretty much if both of them are 1 and everything, I believe the output of it, yada, yada, yada. So we had that, the output, I believe, came out to 0. I'm going to double check just to make sure and everything that I'm doing this correctly because I don't want to tell you guys the wrong thing. But just double checking right now. So yeah, so it was 0. And then what happened was it came down to here because you have this wire connected to it. And it came to right here, and that's 0. And because this is 1 coming down right here, 1 and 0 is still 0 because we've got an AND gate right here. Because for an AND gate to have 1 come out, it's X and Y both have to be 1. So pretty much right here, you're going to have a 0. And then for J in this instance, and for K in this instance, and I'm going to double check and make sure that he put this down right, we have zeros going into it. Perfect. Just making sure that I'm giving you guys the right numbers. If you guys see me doing anything wrong too, just like correct me and everything. All right, so we have 0 come out and everything. And then pretty much what happened was came into here into this J and K. So you have 0 here, you have 0 here. Again, we're gonna just, we're gonna have the clock tick be 1 because we're gonna expect it to turn on and off like a clock tick does, like this. So we're pretty much just gonna say every single time there's an output, it's 0, and then it turns back on to let it in. So with that one and everything, you're gonna have 0 and 0. It's gonna come out, and then pretty much what happened was he changed it to, I believe at one point he just like pretty much changed the outputs because we're gonna get very similar numbers and everything. Just because you're gonna expect this output to be 0, and then it's just gonna come down here again, and then you're just gonna keep continuously getting zeros. And then what happened was he changed it. I'm gonna double check and just make sure 0, 0, 0. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, I see. Never mind. Let me fix this real quick. So yeah, so it does come down here and everything, but then what happens is this changes to so he did like, let me pull it up on here. Exam, which notes I have it underneath. Notes for week 11/12. And we had it all the way down here. This is what you were talking about, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So pretty much, and from what I remember and everything, from what he had described it, and I can't remember it completely, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, was pretty much, you know, we had B0 and these were the different outputs and everything. And then what happened was, I believe we changed the input to where it was 1, 0, 0, and then it was 0, 1, 0. And then we had it with a clock, and then I put with a clock down there, but it's not technically right because we're always pretty much expecting it to be with it. But pretty much that's how we had it, was like it was going to be 0, 0, 0 because we're automatically starting it off and thinking it. And then for each clock tick and everything, so we have a clock tick, and then just because the first time all this is zeros, we have a clock tick come out. Then we have a 1 right here. And then you have 1 and 1. So 1 comes here. That's what I was doing wrong. Then you have 1 and 1 here. And then pretty much what happens is then another clock tick happens. So you have 1 come out here. So what I did was I color coordinated. So this is before a clock tick. This is after 1 clock tick, after 2, and then after 3. So what it is starting off, everything's 0. Then after the first clock tick, it goes to 1 here. This hasn't received anything, it's still 0. This hasn't received anything, it's still 0. Then what happens is we have another clock tick. This first one goes back to being 0. And the second one goes to being 1. And then this one goes to being 0. And then again, you know, you just do it all over again. It's
This
pretty much
is-
like adding it to 1. I think this is what she was talking about.
This is what I was referring to earlier, where it could count up to 7 because it has the
Yep.
3 registers. So it's just after 7 clock ticks, this would count up to 7. Because the way I was looking at it, I
Mhm.
thought it ended after 4 clock ticks, but I
Yep.
just don't get how it resets back to the top.
So pretty much what would happen is then on the next one, so I'll put the next one in like this weird green color. So on this next one, right here, I can just do this one. So on the next one, this would be 1, this would be 0, and this would be 0. And then on the one after that, it'd be 1, 0, 1. Because pretty much think about it as like a binary number. This would be your leftmost bit, this would be your rightmost bit. And then after that, you have 1, 1, 1. And then from there, it would just reset. Yep. That's pretty much it. Did that clear up? I don't know who asked that question. Did that clear it up for you?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
So pretty much if you want to think about it, it's every single clock tick. So after every single clock tick, you're pretty much adding 1 to it. So that's why I went to, so this is 0 clock ticks, 1 clock tick, 2, 3, 4. So pretty much what's happening is before any clock ticks start off, you know, this is always going to be enabled to set to 1. So you're going to have 1s coming in, but you need to enable the clock tick first.
Okay, so he wouldn't have us like have it enabled at 0 or anything.
Yeah, he shouldn't, because if it's at 0, then you're just going to get 0 straight across the board.
Okay, thank you.
And here's the exam review. Anyone have any questions? Montagny, you got any questions? Or Montaigne, or whatever his last name is? But that's pretty much it for that one. And then from what we worked on yesterday, so we did that one. And then we moved on to K-maps, which Is there anything else that I'm missing? I believe that was pretty much it. I'm gonna just double check and make sure.
I think the only thing is before K-maps is the program counter to MAR or something like that. I know there's one just that uses the JK flip-flops connecting to yeah, let me pull it up.
Oh, the PC to MAR.
Yeah,
That one?
yeah, that's the one. Program counter.
Yeah, so what that one is, if you're doing the PC to MAR, that one is, so the MAR is like the one that we did up here. So the one that we did up here, we did MDR, MAR is the exact same thing. So you're gonna have D flip-flops on MAR side. And we'll do this with, I'm just gonna do it with 2 bits and everything. Oops, that one's like insanely big, sorry. I'm just gonna do it with 2 bits just to make it quick and easy. So you're gonna have D flip-flops, then you're gonna have Q. And then on the program counter side, it's literally what we did right here. So you're gonna have your enable come in. You're gonna have a JK flip-flop right here. I'm just doing J and K so big because it's a bigger size flip-flop. And you're just gonna have it connecting all the way over from here to here. And then right here, you're gonna come down and it's gonna be the exact same thing. And it's literally just the exact same thing over and over again. So it's just, if you get this question, just remember PC is just JK flip-flops, MAR is a D flip-flop. And then you just have your outputs from here. And then you have your Q, you have your clock tick, you have your K, and you're just connecting it to here. Wrong symbol, sorry guys. To here. And you're just going to connect them. And then don't forget your clock ticks because he does take off for this. He is, and I'm sure you guys found out on the first exam, Professor Montagny is the type of professor to where he's very picky. Like he's not intentionally trying to fail you. Yeah, Juan, this just depends on how many registers he asks for. This one I'm doing 2 just to like do it real quick. In our example, we did 3. But he is the type of person where it's like, you know, he's very particular. This could be 100% correct, but because I didn't label this as like clock Y and this other one right here is clock X, he'll take off a point or 2. And that's when he talks about like 85 marks or, you know, like 50 marks or whatever. Like he's pretty much saying like half point, 85%. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And I think we covered that when we did that. Yeah, so which receives the first clock tick and which one receives the second. So on this one and everything, we talked about, you know, which one's supposed to get it first, which one's supposed to get it second. I know that we'd said that MAR gets it first. And then PC gets it second. I'm just looking at the email I just sent out. Hi, everyone. I just uploaded an assignment 3 file. Please review the file and follow the updated submission requirements. That's pretty much it. All right. Is there anything else? Is there anything that I'm missing before I move on to K-maps?
What on the top left register, is that what's being input into the J? Is that just a 1?
It's the enable, which is more
Yeah, which
likely
is-
than not going to be a 1.
Okay.
If he puts a 0, then this is just 0.
Should you write like the enable on the test? Just write like.
Yeah, I would say do that just in case I ran out of space on the side. I'm going to write enabled like right now.
Okay.
He's one of those professors where I don't want to, I mean, you guys know, you took exam 1. Like, if you try to cover all of your bases, you'll be good. No, Hassan, he didn't mention anything like that. He said, if anything, like, hey, if I'm trying to move data from one to the other, will there be which one gets the first clock tick and which one gets the second? He did mention that that will be on the exam, but not like, oh, tracking numbers and everything. If he does a tracking numbers one, if he like tosses someone there that he didn't tell us about, he hates us. I'm just going through the notes I did for the exam just to make sure that I'm like not missing anything for you guys. Yeah, PC to MAR. Yep, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything specific. Yeah, so I believe when the TA that did the review last night, when she talked about it, we had a few different options. So option number one is like, so what I'm doing with the iPad and everything would pretty much be like, you put question number one up here, like any paint software, any, you know, drawing software, you know, you do question one and then you do like the problem down below. Another one would be doing it by hand and taking a picture. And she said that, you know, we could submit it all in one Word docs that you then convert to a PDF. You can submit them all, you know, separately if you want to. I honestly don't know because he hasn't announced anything for it. But I would say do it all on one doc. I know what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to literally be doing this on my iPad, and I'm literally just going to screenshot everything, put it all on the Google Docs, and then submit it over. Yeah, you do only get one submission, so make sure you're ready for that. And before I move on to K-maps, do you guys want to like, so I know we'd mentioned the MUX to DMUX with the registers and everything. Do you guys want to do that or no? Yeah, it's the same as the exam. I can draw it out if you, yeah, SpongeBob wants it too. Yeah, I can do that. All right, so we're gonna do a MUX to DMUX. And we're gonna do it, yes, Daniel, this is being recorded. So we're gonna do a MUX to DMUX. I'm going to go and turn my iPad sideways because it's just gonna be easier for me to write. It should pop up like wider and everything for you guys. At least I hope so. I mean, it's less. So yeah, you guys are probably gonna have to look at it sideways or whatever. But pretty much, so the MUX to DMUX, and let me pull it up and everything. So a multiplexer is pretty much, so it depends on how many he asks for. So remember how we did it before where we did the selector 0 down here and the selector 1? Sorry that it's sideways, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, so what he told us and what he said is that he might ask us to do a MUX to DMUX. He might ask us to do that, but the MUX to DMUX would be at the gate level and then the registers would be at the box level. But pretty much what it is that a multiplexer is you have your selector bits, which are down here, and they run up. Sorry that it's zero, that it's sideways, guys, but I'm just trying to get the most room. And then you have, so because we have 2 selector bits, we have 4 AND gates. And then remember we have that OR gate over here off to the side. Sorry that that's like the worst looking OR gate I've ever seen. And then you have your inputs. So your selector bits right here. So you have your OR gate right here, and then obviously all these AND gates connect into this OR gate. And then what happens is you have your inputs. Well, first we'll do our selecting bits. So you have your 0, 0. And here's the reason why I'm putting a NOT gate right here. The reason why is in order to get an AND gate to turn on, you need both 1 and 1. And you need both 1 and 1. Well, if you have 0 and 0 go in and you're trying to select that bit, it's not going to go through. So when you have a 0 come through, the NOT gate is going to change that to a 1 because since we're working in binary. So pretty much you're going to have 0, 0, which is going to, so say if you were to put 0 and 0 in here, you know, this is going to come up 0 and then it's going to turn into a 1. This will come up 0 and it'll turn into a 1, and then it'll select this gate. I know when he explained that, there was a lot of people that were confused. I'm just trying to touch base on that for those people still in here that are kind of confused. And then, so you have 0, 0, you have 0, 1, and then this one just connects directly over. Then you have 1, 0. Then you just connect it all the way over. And then I'll make sure to take a screenshot of this where it's sideways and post it in there so that way you guys can see what it looks like at the end. And then you just have 1, 1. And then what you also have in the multiplexer, so off here to the side is your registers that he had talked about. In her example that the TA did last night and everything, she had him off to the left, or she had him off to the right. She had it after the demultiplexer. I asked Montagny, which he's in the group chat right now, so he can tell you. I emailed him and I sent him a picture of both and I said, hey, does it matter? And he said, no, it doesn't matter. So he said, you can put it either on the left side or the right side. The only thing he did say was that if you do it, make sure you have your clock ticks, which she told us too last night. So you have your clock ticks, you have your Q, and you're just going to have 4 of them. So it's going to be the exact same question that we had before where it's like, oh, you know, I'm doing a mux to demux with 4 registers because before we had them at the box. And then you're literally just connecting each one like that. This one's going to be a little weird. I'm sorry. I'm going to go down and then over. And then, yeah, just always remember your clock ticks. If you want to, you can also put Q naught in every single box if you want to. I'm not going to because it's pointless at this time. So like if you were to do that, it's literally just pointless. Because we're not going to use Q naught in here. I'm just going to move this up and over so that way we can continue on with this. And then a demultiplexer, which is what I'm going to put over here. I'm going to label them up at the top. I have a multiplexer and then a demultiplexer. Do you guys have any questions on the multiplexer before like I move on? Nope. Okay, perfect. So a demultiplexer. So demultiplexer, the output from this OR gate goes over to here. And then pretty much just imagine it's the exact same thing. You're going to have your AND gates. So you still have your inputs. You still have your AND gates. 2, 3, and this is the 4th one. These are going to come out, but they don't connect to an OR gate because a multiplexer is many to one. A demultiplexer is just the opposite. So instead of it being many to one, it's one to many. So you have your one input, which is this line right here. You still have your selecting bits, still have your S0 and your S1. These are still going to come up and it's exactly the same. You're going to have your same NOT gates, your same everything. So your same 0, 0, your 0, 1, your 1, 0, and then your 1, 1. I'm just trying to do this as fast as possible. And I'm going to draw like a little yellow box around it. Imagine this box is like the edge of the demultiplexer. So pretty much like that. And then pretty much what you do with this input line is literally just, this is your input, connect it over to the AND gates. And then what you do from here, in case if he asks, so if he asks this question, what you pretty much do from here is you take these inputs and you connect them to the following D flip-flop register. So you're going to take this one, and it's going to go all the way over here. I'm going to do different colors so it makes it easier to follow along. So I'm going to do red real quick. So you're going to go here, and you're going to just take it all the way up front. You're going to connect it to this one. So you always want this bottom one, like you pretty much just want it level. You want the bottom one with the bottom one, the second bottom one with the second bottom one, the second top one with the second top one. It's exactly like you're just pretty much lining it up. And then you're going to come here. Same thing. You're going to go all the way up. And then this one is literally like that, but the other way. Sorry if I'm like overriding and it makes it hard to follow along. Just tell me if it's like wrong one. Tell me if it's hard to follow along. And then this one is the exact same way. So that's it. I wish I could zoom out more, but it's literally like, this is the multiplexer half right over here. And I'm going to draw a green box around it so that way you guys can tell that it is, whoops, the multiplexer. So the green box, that's everything inside the multiplexer. The like goldish box, that's everything in the demultiplexer. And then the red wires are just the outputs that connect them to the registers, which the registers are literally just the D flip-flops right here. Does anyone have any questions on that? Like any questions like how to draw it, you know, stuff like that. We did it. The only thing was that when we did it before, let me see if I can find those notes and everything. Why is there the extra? Oh, this line right here. That extra wire, that's from the input. So just imagine this as input. That's just the wire from the input. And then this is S0. So what I'll do is I'll erase it and everything. Yeah, sorry, my handwriting and my neatness is not necessarily the best. How's that look? But yeah, so and I'll look it up because I think I have a good picture of it in my notes before. Which you guys will hear me like refer to my notes a lot. It's literally just everything that I base everything off of. I actually don't have a multiplexer demultiplexer in here. Yeah, the only one I have is literally the exact same way where it's like sideways. All right. How does everyone feel about that? Good? Because I'll move on to K-maps, which absolutely sucks. Okay, so K-maps. Yeah, so what the point is of K-maps and everything is it's to simplify, like when I mentioned with the NAND and the NOR. So the point of the K-maps is to simplify everything, logical reduction like that. It's for that, but what it's also for and everything is it's to also save money. Because again, like I said with the NAND and everything, up top here, I'll draw it down here. So with the NAND gates, a NAND gate is pretty much an AND gate with a NOT. Well, again, like when I took computer logic and organization, if you're doing this right here, every single time you're making a CPU or any type of like wiring or circuitry, you're literally wasting this bit of wire and you're wasting this extra gate. Whereas you can literally just make this and it's the exact same thing. And you literally just eliminated that wire and that one extra gate. So if you're doing that, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but like for a lot of companies and everything, that's literally like the difference between being profitable and losing money on every single one because you're like, oh, you know what, we can toss that in there for costs and everything. So what the point of a K-map is say if you want to reduce it, it's supposed to be a quick and easy way. So for example, when we marked our K-maps and everything, I'm going to start off with the basic. So with our basic K-maps and everything, you can do either way. So you can do it like this. So what I meant either way is some people have like WX over here. And then I've seen other people put like Y and Z over here. You can call them whatever you want. It's the exact same thing. He might ask you to call them one way rather than the other. He might ask you to do one or the other. It's whichever one he tells you to do, just call it that. But I've seen it be called multiple ways. I've seen people do like WX, YZ, AB, XY. I've seen stuff like that. So when we're doing these ones, so for Y and Z up top, yes, he will. And I'm going to get to that in a second, Gregory. What I'm doing right now is just setting up the basics. So I'll get to that. I'm literally just going to try and go through and kind of explain it, hopefully in an easier way. So with everything, you have your 0, 0, your 0, 1. And then typically from here, we usually do 1, 0. But the reason why, in K-maps and everything, we can only change one bit at a time. Because when you go from 0, 0 to 0, 1, you're literally just changing this bit. But then when you go from 0, 1 to 1, 0, you're changing both bits. And you're going from here to here because you're literally changing this and this. But what you're trying to do is you're only trying to change one bit at a time to make it simple. So instead, what they did is they just did 1, 1. So that way we only change this bit right here. It's really stupid. I've always hated the fact that they've done it like that. But I mean, it's just, you gotta learn to live with it, unfortunately. But just remember it like that. And then for the top, it's the exact same way. And I'm going to just draw it out. So this would be 0, 1. So this is 2 in binary, and then this is 3. So they're just swapping it because of the fact that, you know, we're only messing with that one bit. Then you have your 4, 5, your 7, your 6. Then you have your 8, 9, 11, 10. Then you have your 12, 13, 15, and 14. If you notice, we have 1, 2, 3.
Wait,
Four.
why does it go to like 4, 5, 7? I don't mean to interrupt.
So 4, 5, 7. So
Yeah.
the reason why, so over here, so imagine this is 4 bits. So you have 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's 0. And then you have for the second row right here. So W, this is supposed to be an X. So W and X are the first 2 bits. So you have 0, 1. And then right here, you have 1, 1. That's 7. And then 0, 1, 1, 0, 6. Oh yeah, the last 2 rows should be swapped. Sorry. Yeah, no, I sorry. Yeah, the last 2 rows should be swapped. So the reason why it goes like that is because remember, we can only change 1 bit at a time.
Gotcha.
Or
All right.
But yeah, we should only have 1 bit at a time and everything. So that's why it goes from 4, 5 to then 7. And yeah, you're right. The last 2, I wasn't paying attention. 8, 9, 11, and 10 because 1, 0, 1, 0 in binary is 10.
Hey, bro, I just joined. Which one you are doing? Like A, B, C, or which one you are doing?
What are you talking about? Which one am I doing? I'm just explaining K-maps right now.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm thinking like you are doing anything from the segment, like A, B, C, whatever.
Not yet, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Keep going, bro. It's looking good. Good job.
But yeah, so Nicholas, that's pretty much it. So if you want to think about it like that, it's W, X, Y, Z. So that's the reason why it goes like that is, again, because we can only move 1 bit at a time. Because when you go from 0, 0 to 0, 1, you're adding 1. But then when you go from 0, 1 to 1, 0, you have to change 2 bits. You change this first bit and the second. In K-maps, you can only change 1 bit at a time. So that's why these rows are flipped. That's why you have 12, and then you have 12 through 15 up there, and then you have 8 through 11 through there. All right, and now the fun begins. So the reason why, so much fun, yeah, I know, right? Where it is, trying to pull up my K-maps notes and everything. So the reason why we do K-maps this way, and here's a quick answer, is so here's like a quick kind of, I guess you can say, example. Say if we have W, we have X, we have Y, we have Z, with lines coming down and everything. So what this K-map is supposed to do is when we draw it and everything, without having to look at it, we can just by like what I'm doing right now, I'm going to draw a couple of AND gates. So say this is like segment A or whatever in the 7 segment. We have this coming over. This is supposed to be a 1. We have this coming over. This is going to be a 0. We have this coming over. This is going to be a 0. And then we have Z come over. This is also going to be a 0. But then we have another AND gate. And this one is a little bit different. All these are zeros. So all these right here are zeros. So we're connecting all these lines right here. to be zeros. So what this is for and everything is pretty much, instead of drawing 2 different AND gates and wasting all this wiring and everything, we can literally just simplify it to this. Since W changes, it turns on when it's both 0 and 1. Instead of having just the 2 AND gates, you can literally, I'm just going to continue this on. I'm going to draw a red line so that you guys know it's separate. To just simplify it, you can draw just one AND gate, completely ignore W, and just have X, Y, and Z. And the reason why is because it doesn't matter if you have, you know, it doesn't matter if you have W connected or not. No matter what the value is of W, it's still going to turn on. So it's just pretty much just that. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just a simplify. So it takes 2 gates down to 1. Sometimes you see it with 3 gates. It can take 3 gates down to 1. Yeah, this is just an example for optimizing. So the example that we did, so with 7 segments in the K-map, and everything. So for 7 segments with the K-map, so we're gonna do segment E. So you have, I'm gonna draw it out again, even though we've done this quite a bit. Does anyone have any questions so far? Like I kind of just like blew through it without asking anyone if there was any questions.
Can
So-
you go instead of E? Can you go over A, please, or B? Because I think in E he did it on the class. So can
Yeah,
you go?
I can go over, I'll do like B.
Okay, please. Thank you.
So A, B, C, D, E, F. You fix that. F and G. You can put G either on the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. So say if we're looking at segment, I'm just going to do A for simplicity, just because it's going to take a while to do B because there's a lot. So say if we do segment A. So A is pretty much on for 5, 6, 8. Fix my retarded 8. Is this going to use I1, I3, I0? Yeah, 0, sorry. 0 is also in there. 2 is not, because 2 is this, 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 and this. Yep, 4 is in there. Damn, I'm missing a few. Sorry, guys. So we have 0, we have 4, we have 5, 6, 8, and then I believe 9. Am I missing one? I don't think so. So he did mention in class 2 that you can have 6 as 2 ways. You can have 6 as this, which is what I'm referring to. This can be counted as a 6. Or he said you can have 6 as this. He said you can decide on the exam which one you want to have 6 as. Like you can just decide. You can literally be like, hey, you know what? I want 6 to be this one because it's just simpler and you don't have to worry about, you know, segment B. So with the Carnot maps and everything, the K maps. So we have WX over here. We have Y and Z up here. We have that line that divides it. And we're going to draw our box. One, 2, 3. This will be the last thing we're going over, and then we're pretty much done. Again, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. It's the exact same thing. So what we did in class was we went through and we went ahead and we marked all of these X's. And the reason why is because on a 7-segment display and everything, you can't display double-digit numbers. So everything from
I think your mic cut out.
You guys can hear me now, right? Sorry. So
Yep.
the reason why we don't care about 10 and 15 is because we're worried about one 7-segment display. And on one 7-segment display, we can only display numbers between 0 and 9. So with numbers between 0 and 9 and everything, that's the only ones that we care about. The rest, the reason why we don't care about them is just because like we can't display them. So we consider them as don't cares or not cares, whatever you want to call them. It's the exact same thing. What he had mentioned is, so for example, we're going to go through and we're going to mark on this K map which ones we care about, which ones we don't care about. So which ones are on and which ones are off. So 0 is on. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is on. 5 is on. Then we have 6 on, which is right there because this is 7. And then we have 8 on, and then we have 9 on. So we have all these on. The rest of these are going to be 0. So what they had been talking about was the groupings. So what this is about and everything is it's about grouping it to get, you know, better logic reduction and everything. You want to group everything that's a 1. And you want to do it in the most logical way possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in blue and everything to make it easy to follow along. If you notice, we can group everything in groups of 2 or, yeah, like what SpongeBob said. Thanks, SpongeBob. It's in groups. It's in groups of 2 to the n. So you can have 2, 4, 8, stuff like that. So we can group it in 2s. It's more preferable to group it in 4s. And the only reason why, 4 or more, the only reason why is because if I'm grouping it in 2s, for example, I'm going to be grouping it like this. 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 And groups of 4, it's just easier. So pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to group it in 4s. And the reason why we have the not cares right here as the X's is because we can, yeah, it's more optimized. Pretty much what happens is with the X's and everything, you know, we can treat them as either on or off. If it makes it easier for you, you can treat it as on. If it makes it harder for you, you can treat it as off. You can do either or, like it doesn't matter. So for this example, I'm going to treat this as on. I'm going to treat this as on. And then for the sake of this one's going to be a little weird. This one you can treat as on. And then this one over here, pretty sure you can just go all the way. You can either treat all this on or you can do this, which I've seen other people do before too.
We can also do last to the
You
whole
can-
column for a
You can do that. I've seen people do this before.
for Professor
And
told
what
us
they
to.
do is they just don't care about the zeros because pretty much after you put 0 down, You can do it, but you pretty much just treat it as a 0. That I wouldn't, because it's just going to get confusing. But yeah. But yeah, pretty much I just treat it like this. And the reason why we're grouping it like this is, think of it as like a cylinder. You have your top, you have your round or big, like circle and everything. You're pretty much connecting it with like your 0, 0s, your, what's the bottom right one right here, like 1, 0 and everything. You pretty much can connect it all the way around and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter what the mapping is and stuff like that. You can connect literally the 4 corners if you want to. What I would personally do in this instance is you can do these 4, and then you can do another of, so I just erase part of the thing. You can do another one of these 2 and these 2. What do you mean the leftmost? Like what I just did and everything? You can do a group of 8 for the bottom half, but the reason why I didn't do a group of 8 for the bottom half is because with the group of 8, we're still, this one right here, it doesn't matter. We're not going to use it. And we're still leaving this one out. You can do that. And the dude who's Montagny, when you mean the leftmost one with the rightmost one, do you mean like pretty much what I did, which is like this side with this side? Yeah, you can do that, which is what I just did.
Could you draw that with another color just to make sure, like?
Yeah, I can do
It's gonna
that
be a
real quick.
single wire. Gonna be a single wire.
Here, I'll do it in gold. That's pretty much it. Gold on this side and then gold on the other. And the reason why I did it like that is because I need to include this one over here.
And you do that because those 4 that are in gold are gonna be together.
Yeah, that's a group.
Okay.
And everything. So that's going to be one group. That's going to be together. You can have multiple groups that include multiple ones. See something real quick. All right, I just wanted to see who was echoing. So the reason why I didn't group the bottommost 8 again, you can if you want to. And this question, it's all going to probably narrow down to the exact same answer. The reason why I didn't do the bottommost 8 is because even if I grouped the bottommost 8 and everything, this bit right here doesn't add anything to what I'm about to do. This bit right here is the one that I care about. All the X's and everything, they're don't cares. You can literally treat them as they're on or they're off. You can care about them being there. You cannot care about them being there. It doesn't matter. You can do either or. So it's just the reason why I didn't include it, and you can include it in yours if you want to. Realistically, you're going to get very similar or almost the exact same answer. It's just simply because it's like, hey, even if I include it or don't, it's not really going to add much to what I'm about to do.
So which ones are you actually including? Like all the ones you drew?
So all the ones that I drew around. So the leftmost 4 bits. So these ones right here. I cared about these 4 right here. And then I cared about these bottom 4. And again, you can always, if you want to, you can always overlap. And then this one right here, I did these 4. I did the gold with the gold pretty much.
Okay.
So no, Gregory, the goal isn't to make as many groups as possible. It's actually to make it as little, but remember, you have to do it in groups of 2 or more. So you have to do it in groups of 2 to the n. So right here. So 2, 4, 8, 16, stuff like that. So we're not actually trying to make as many groups as possible. We're actually trying to make as little groups as possible to bring it down to as narrowed down version as you possibly can get. But in this example, the reason why I did it like this is just because, those are the groupings that I saw. You can do, if you wanted to, you could do the bottom 8 and everything, but you still have the same amount of groups.
Is there a
do
way
you
to
have-
know like what's the correct amount of groups you should have?
Not really. When I did this in computer logic and organization and everything, and everyone that I've talked to, it's literally like, from what I've been told, it's like you just pretty much figure it out once you start doing it, which kind of sucks.
Okay.
But it's not like you're gonna know for sure just by looking at the question and answers and everything.
Got it.
Sweet, we had someone leave the meeting. All right. So in the example that she did last night, so I believe in the example that she did last night and everything, she did E or something like that. Can't remember which one she did. But pretty much, yeah, it was E is like the one that we've done. I think we did E in class and everything, just because everyone's done it. Pretty much from here, if you want to, you can use the K-maps and everything. So right here, E turns on F of W, X, Y, and Z. E turns on when you have, and remember what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the bits that constantly stay the same. So what I'm doing is I'm writing out the function. You can do like the actual diagram, the logic and everything. But I'm writing out the function just because that's how I've like learned and everything. But pretty much you have going from left to right, W naught, X naught, Y naught, and then Z naught. Plus, then you have, and this grouping and everything. So we're going to do this for grouping right here. You have W naught, X naught, Y naught, Z naught, and then you have W naught, X, Y naught, Z naught. So in this grouping right here, we're going to do just for these numbers right here, which I believe is 0, 4, 5, and then it's like 7 and stuff like that. Pretty much the way that you can treat it, if I'm doing this correctly, because I always get confused at this part, is that pretty much we want to get rid of the ones that are constantly changing, which from this group, the ones that are constantly changing. So I'm going to do just for this grouping right here. Yeah, you do. So you're doing that. So that is going to be for 0. Then for 4, you have W naught, X, Y naught, Z naught. Yeah, so you pretty much list the groups that do the bits that stay exactly the same. So what I'm doing is this is for this group. So technically from this group, if you were to actually look at it in full, the only one that really stays the same is actually, I believe, none of them. It's from this group, right? Am I looking at this right? So yeah, so actually no. Z from this first group, Y and Z are the only ones that stay the same. So it's Z naught and Y naught, sorry. So yeah, so from this first group that we're looking at, and it's been a while since I've done this, it's just Y naught and Z naught. And the reason why, if you look at it in this whole entire column, Y and Z stay 0 and they're all 1s. Yep. And you're going to add it to this bottom row right here. I'm going to look at this bottom row next just to make it easier. So on this bottom row, we have Y pretty much stays the same, X stays the same, and it looks like Z and Y is constantly changing. So you're going to have W and X naught. Yep. Then I'm going to look at this grouping of 4 right here. So I'm not going to look at the yellow outer box yet. I'm going to look at just this grouping of 4 here. So in this grouping of 4 and everything, you're going to have, I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm looking at it correctly. It looks like X is the only one that relatively stays the same if I'm looking at it right. X and Y, yep, X and Y not. And then this is the last group. So this last group and everything, which is the outer yellow ones, that one, it looks like X stays the same, and it looks like that's pretty much it, right? Z naught, yeah, Z naught too. And then pretty much from there, isn't it like you just, so the naught is when it's set to 0. So if you notice up top and everything, the reason why we're calling it naught is, so say if Y is 0, we want it to turn an AND, if Y equals 0, in an AND gate, which is what we're going to connect all these to, we need it to be equal to 1. So the way that we do that is by drawing, or sorry, is by connecting it to a NOT gate, also known as an inverter. So that way the 0 goes to 1 and can turn this on. Yes. See, SpongeBob knows more. And then pretty much from here is when usually sorry, let me fix that. Usually from here is usually when it's like iffy for me. So I believe from here is when you just do the actual logic diagram itself, which in this instance would be, it'd still be the same amount, but it'd just be, so we're going to do W, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to draw the line / columns coming down. So this one right here. So the reason that we got that, look over here. So this group is the yellow grouping right here. So you have, if you look at this column and this column, X stays the same. X is always 1. If you look at this column and this column, again, X stays, sorry, other way around. If you look at the top ones, so Y and Z, so you look at this one and this one, 0 and 0, and then over here, 1 and 0. It's exactly the same. Yeah, we're gonna be finishing up soon, guys. Yeah, so pretty much what you're worried about is the values that are always the same. And the reason why is because if it changes, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter if it's a 0 or 1, no matter what, it's going to stay on. And that's pretty much it. This is the one, I'm not sure, and then this is the one where usually it just comes down to right here. I'm just trying to double check and see everything. So if you guys actually notice in most of these, usually it stays the same. If you notice, why not is usually why not, why not, when Y naught is on, you know, it's usually on. And then I believe it's also when Z naught is on, it's usually on. And then also with W. You can simplify it even further. I'm pretty sure that's the correct way to do it. I'm going to just get rid of all these arrows and everything. I'm going to upload this image later on too. But I believe from here, pretty much you can look at this as like a whole group and everything. I believe I'm correct. Am I doing this right, SpongeBob? Since you seem to know more about the K-maps than I do right now. I believe it's pretty much just, you're going to look at this all as like a whole group and everything, and then simplify it. So I believe if I'm looking at it right, so we're going to look at this whole group as a whole. And if you notice, like Y naught and Z naught are pretty much the same all throughout. And W is the same, X changes. So like you have an X naught here, an X here, and an X here. So we can pretty much just neglect X. Am I remembering that right from what you said last night? I'm actually trying to remember what she said last night, and I'm gonna look at the group at the Discord again. But if I remember it correctly, then we're going to start looking at this as a whole group. So right here, yeah, this is the one part that I always keep forgetting, but I'm going to double check just to make sure. So yeah, so this is the one part that I'm going to just double check and make sure. And we'll be done right after this as soon as I just make sure that I'm doing it correctly. If I remember correctly, I'm going to just make sure. So when it comes down to this, pretty much you can narrow it down to, I'm just going to do it like this just to make sure. And I'll double check afterwards. So you still have your Y naught, your Z naught coming in. This is for the first grouping. I'm going to double check just to make sure. You're still going to have your OR gate over here. Sorry about that. You're going to have your W, connect all the way over here. Your X, connect not, sorry. You're going to have your X naught, connect all the way over here. Then you're going to have your X and your Y naught connect all the way over here. And then you're going to have your X and your Z naught. And then, of course, all these connect to the OR gate. And I believe you can actually simplify this down. I believe you can simplify it down even further. Yeah, same. Once I get that function, I just draw the circuit from there. Yeah, usually like that's pretty good right there. But would this be sufficient? There's no fancy reductions we have to make after the initial K-map reduction. Yeah, I'd say this would be pretty good. I remember, I know there was one time where I actually did it and I narrowed it down even further. I think he told me no. Yeah, the bottom two gates can, yeah, this is the exact same one. Or no, the bottom two gates can't, actually, yeah, they can because you have the same inputs because you're going to have X, Y naught, and then X and then Z. So you can pretty much do this. Thank you for pointing that out, by the way. So you can do one big AND gate. So you can do X, you can do Y naught, and then you can do Z naught. Sorry for my weird penguin looking knots or whatever you want to call them. And then you pretty much just narrowed it down from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gates all the way down to 3. That's it. Yeah. What do you mean connecting to another? I mean, what do you mean by connecting to another OR gate? So when we did this before, and I'll show you in my notes once I pull it up and everything. Yes. So the reason why I did that is because if you looked at the end, I actually have, these are the last two functions. I have an X, a Y naught, then I have an X and a Z naught. You can literally just combine them into one. Which was the letter again? A, yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is for letter A, sorry. It's different for all of them. So you pretty much have to kind of go through. So this was for letter A, for this one right here. If you guys want, I can try doing letter B if you want to do another one. If you want to just continue and say, hey, whatever, then we can do that.
Okay, real quick. I was just tapping on the chat so it could be referenced. But you know how the TA drew the wires directly from the function instead of drawing like a whole circuit, kind of like you did? I think both of them are right.
Yeah,
If you
I believe both of them are.
so if you draw wires directly from the function, right? Wouldn't you end up with more gates than you would have with the way you did it? Because then you'd have, right, Y naught, Z naught, that's an AND gate, and then W, X naught, that's an AND gate, but then they both connect to an OR gate.
So, and I'm going to double check and see which ones are you seeing that underneath? Are you seeing that underneath general or notes?
It was on the notes from the TA. She just drew the wires directly from the function. Like she didn't lay out like kind of like you, because the way you did it is the way we were shown, but the way she said that she drew it was straight from the function. She just drew the wires down and drew the gates. But if you do it that way, you actually end up with more gates because
You
yours
can
has
do
four.
it, I believe. Oh, I know what you're talking about. So like how we have the Y naught, Z naught, W, X naught, and then she pretty much just drew the lines down like that,
Yeah,
right?
so you have like two ends, then connecting to an
Mhm.
OR, and then
You
again
can,
two ends
so
into an OR.
you can do either one. I did it the reason why I did it this way is because this was how I was taught in computer logic organization, which I always reference that class because it's the exact same thing. We did it this way, which was, it simplified it a little bit more because like, I think SpongeBob or someone else pointed out, like the bottom two ones, I could simplify it after I did it. And then after he pointed out and I looked at it and went, actually, yeah, it's literally the exact same gate. So you can do either one. Both are correct. And then I believe you can like, from there, I think she narrowed it down again. Because yeah, I'm looking at someone's
Gotcha.
7 segment right now. I'm looking at the notes that someone posted in 7 segment. But yeah,
Can you go over, when you get the chance, can you go over the memory with 4 words and 2 bits?
with 4 words and 2 gates. Oh, are you talking about that really big one that
Yeah,
had like a whole bunch of D flip-flops and everything?
correct. So,
Yeah, let me pull that one up real quick.
right.
That's the one that looks like,
Looks ugly, right?
yeah, that's the one that looks like really ugly and really stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, the sequential circuits where it
correct.
is.
With the 4 words and 2 bits, that's really complicated, but you know.
Logged me out of Discord. Damn. Yeah, it's the one where it's like word 0, word 1, word 2, word
Correct.
3.
Correct,
So
yes.
if you want to know how to draw it, luckily for this one, the only thing you need to know how to do is it's just a D flip-flop. So the only thing you're going to use is a D flip-flop with your caret right here. You can draw it on the other side. In his diagram, he actually had it on the other side. And you'll realize this when you do like logic designs and everything and circuit designs. You know, I don't think Daniel, I don't believe that we're actually going to have to draw it in case he asks and everything. But, you know, if you do, you can change everything up as long as it's relatively the same. So the way that I remembered it was that he had 3 inputs. He had input 0. This is all off the top of my head, input 1, and then like input 2. And each input, like he just had a wire that ran straight like this. And then he pretty much had D flip-flops like right here, here, and here. Pretty much I remember like from what he said, you're pretty much just going to trace the output. So like, you know, if you want to select yada, 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 you know, what selecting bits do you have? Because you have S0, S1, and then you have an AND gate here. You have an AND gate here. You have an AND gate here. Because remember this right here, at this part, this is pretty much that decoder that we talked about, where you have 2 selecting bits and then it goes to 2 to the n outputs. And then you have one more. And obviously you would have your NOT gates. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and then 1, 1. And then you just have that come out. I remember from what he had talked about, and let me just grab and pull that up real quick, was that when he had talked about that question and everything, it was just, if I'd remember, it was literally just going to be like a tracing output and stuff like that, which was going to be, he talked about it and he barely mentioned it. So that's why I don't think it'll be on there, but we'll see. If he asks us to draw for it, the way that I remembered it is, so you have the inputs, then you have the lines connecting it. So in between each input line, he had D flip-flops. And then pretty much he had a line connecting to the D flip-flops above it. And then the output went from here to an AND gate. And what else went into the AND gate was the clock. So you have the clock down here. That comes up. And it goes into another AND gate. And then what else is in the AND gate is the write enabled, the thing that we talked about before. And then the clock literally just goes to everything. So it comes across, it goes up, comes out, and it's just like that. And that's from what I remember what he talked about, but I remember he vaguely mentioned it. I'm not sure what his thing was that he was going to ask about it, because I remember that like his TA, he didn't even tell her that that was going to be on the exam.
Hopefully not, brother.
I honestly, I hope not.
Yeah, that was a little complicated, man, right?
It was, and
I draw
vaguely
it.
mentioned
I draw it a couple of times, but still, you know, that's like little confusing when you saw the big picture, the ugly picture. But anyway, I hope it will not be on the exam though.
Yeah, if it's not, I remember the TA, like when we showed her that, she said, "Oh God, like I don't even know how to do that." She's like, just like put some gates down. But pretty much the way that I remember it is, you have the inputs, all the D flip-flops above that input gets connected to it like this, and then all the outputs go to an AND gate that's connected to the clock, and then it goes all the way down towards the end towards an OR gate.
Correct.
That's pretty much it.
Correct. All right, bro. I appreciate it, man.
That's pretty much it. Dan Man, he had mentioned so you're confused on how to make a circuit with the K maps. Do you use a midterm formula to draw it, or just straight from the K map itself? So Dan, you're in the thing, right? Oh, there you are. All right. Sorry about that. So for the K maps and everything, I'm going to do B. I'll do another one. I'll do B. So for B, you're going to have that on for 0, 2, 3. Yeah, so what SpongeBob said. So instead of doing B, I'm going to walk you step by step what I did. So we did A right here. So what I first did with A was I first laid out the numbers that has A on. So, 0, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 with help from everyone else. Then what happens is you then come down here and you're going to go through and you're going to pretty much turn on that number. So if you think about it, these numbers right here, it's a 4-bit number. So you have like 0, 0. So like it goes W, X, Y, Z. So it pretty much goes 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. And then it's pretty much like that. So you're going to go through and you're going to write 1 for everyone that's on. So for example, I'm going to erase all of them. We're going to walk. I'm just going to kind of like do the walkthrough again. So 0 right here, 4 right here, 5 here, 6 is on here, then 8 and 9. Everything else you just mark as 0, and then you do the groupings. So with the groupings and everything, remember we're doing our groupings right here as 2 to the n. So you can do them in groups of 2, 4, 8. I'm going to group this. I'm going to group this. I'm going to group. I'm going to do green. I'm going to group this group. And then for gold, I'm going to group these outer two with these outer two. So you got to go to the K-map first, just so that way you know which one to simplify. And then down here, this is where I get this function. So what you're doing is, when you go to these groupings and everything, you're looking at the grouping. So this first grouping that I'm looking at is this column. So for this column, what I'm pretty much doing is I'm pretty much just watching which one changes and which one doesn't. A good way to actually look at that and see it's literally just look at the columns. So for this one, we're looking at this row, this row, this row, this row, and this, which is where I get this first one from. So if you notice, W and X always change, but Y and Z is always the same. So out of the ones, you want to mark down the one that stays the same, which is these two right here. Because if you notice, Y is 0 and Z is 0. And the reason why I put that bar over them is I put Y naught and Z naught, so that way that we know that they're zeros. And then what happened was, then I went to this grouping right here, which I believe that grouping came from the green box right here. So pretty much what I did was I just looked and I went, okay, you know, I'm just double checking just to see. Yeah, so pretty much I believe that I looked at, sorry, I didn't look at that one. I looked at the bottom one. So I looked at the bottom groups of 4 and everything. So right here. And then that's how I got this W and X naught, because I pretty much looked at W. Pretty much what happened was the only column that changed was Y and Z. So pretty much I looked at it and I went, okay, you know, W is always 1, X is always 0. So I put X naught, but yet Y and Z is always changing. A more complicated one that was a little bit harder to look at was this this green box was a little bit harder, but pretty much it was just, I believe, Y naught, and I believe that's it. I'm gonna double check just to make sure. Sorry, X and Y naught. So what counts as a change is any bit that changes, Daniel. So say if it goes from 0 to 1. So what counts as a change is, for example, in this row. So we did this grouping right here, just to look at. I'm just going to look at that one group. So what counts as a change is if you look at this little blue circle encompasses the whole entire left column. So yeah, we're going to look at within the group. So if you look, think about it like this as connecting lines. This is going to connect here. This is going to connect here. So this is 0. 0 in a 4-bit binary number is 0, 0, 0, 0. Then we're going to look at this one that connects. This one is 0, 0, or sorry. This one is 0, 1, 0, 0. And then the next one is 1, 1, 0, 0. And then the one after that is 1, 0, 0, 0. Pretty much what we're looking at is which bits going from this number to this number, this one to this one, and this one to this one. Which one changes and which one doesn't? So obviously we can tell going from this one right here to this one right here that the second bit changes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to scratch that off. And then going from this one here to this one here, we can tell that we've already scratched off the second one. We can tell that the first one changes. So we're going to scratch that off. And then we're going to go from this one to this one. The only thing is we're looking at the last 2 bits. The last 2 bits are still 0. So from that, we pretty much go, oh, okay, the last 2 bits is Y and Z. So since they're 0, we're going to mark them as Y naught and Z naught, as we have down towards the bottom of your screen with that function right here. That's pretty much what we're going to mark them as. Damn, y'all dropping like flies. We had 10 people leave. But that's pretty much it. And then from there, you're going to look at all the other groupings too. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Dan? Does it actually? Because if it does, I can go over it again. If you want, I can do like a different grouping. So yeah, so pretty much if you want to, you can even write it down. When I first started doing this, that's actually what I did. Was I actually did what I showed you. Was where I grouped them together and then I literally went like, oh, I went 0, 0, 0, 0. And then I moved that over to 0, 1, 0, 0. And then I moved that over to 1, 1, 0, 0. And then I moved that over to 1, 0, 0, 0. And then I pretty much just went through and went, okay, from these ones I can see the first one that changes is the second bit. Then from the second to third one, I can see that the first bit changes. And then from the third and fourth one, you know, we've already knocked out the first 2 and the last 2 stay the same. So that's what I did when I first started it out. And then from there, pretty much what you're doing is then this is the point where you can pretty much, so after doing all those groupings, you get down to this point right here. Not the circle one, but you get down to this point, this whole entire function, the f of w, x, y, z. So at this point, you're going to group everything that you found that doesn't change. So your y naught, z naught, your w, your x naught, your x, your y naught, and then your x and your z naught. And you're going to pretty much just draw the diagram. So originally, what I drew was this. I drew this AND gate down here, which SpongeBob helped me with. Thank you, man. So what I drew was these last 2 gates right here that I just marked. So I did straight from X, and then I did a Y naught. So it came to a NOT gate. And then I did straight from X, and then I went to a Z naught. And then this is where you can do like your last like simplifications. And I did this. What SpongeBob pointed out and everything was that if you actually look at these 2 bottom gates right here, they're pretty much exactly the same. You still have X in there. The only thing that changes is that you have Y naught and that you have Z naught. So to simplify it even further, you can literally just get rid of these 2 gates and make them into 1. So you can literally make them into 1 big AND gate, and you can have X connecting to it, Y naught connecting to it, and then Z naught connecting to it. And if you notice, that'll still give you the AND gates. Do I think you'd take points off for it? It's hard to tell. I mean, I've had so my computer logic and organization professor, when I took him, he didn't, but Montagny is also a harder professor. I think if anything, he might take 1 point off, but that would be it. Like, it's not like, oh, you get half credit. You just pretty much be like, normally he does his you know, like down here, normally he does his things out of 10 points. He might just be like, oh, instead of 10, you get 9 points. That would pretty much be it. You get a 90 on that question. I hope not. I don't think so. Because the thing about simplifications is like, you could realistically think that you're done, and then realistically, you're actually not done. Because I remember there was like one thing that I saw when we weren't combining the Y naught and the Z naught as well. Which one are you talking about? This one here, and then this one here? The first gate and the second gate? You can combine them if you want to. You don't have anything that like changes. Hold on. You want to know the reason why I didn't? I marked it wrong, I believe. So the second gate is actually, oh, the first one and the second one. So the first gate, oh, the first and the third. So you honestly, realistically could, just simply because you still have the same inputs and everything. It would just be exactly the same. So you could realistically, if you wanted to, narrow it down, but I left it at 3 gates just in case. But yes, you can do that if you want to. Like again, like I said, we thought we were done, and you can do even more simplification. So if you wanted to, you could literally just have this. And that would still give you the same outputs. How do we know how many groups to group them in? And how do we know when we were making groups of 4 or 8? So to know how many groups you have to group them in, so you'll have to do groupings of 2 to the n. 2 is a magic number in computers because it's binary. So it does indirectly, Daniel. When you get to the end and everything, that's when you realize, hey, you know, the formula that you're doing, you can really simplify it even more. So for example, when you do the grouping and everything, you can only do groups of 2 to the n. So you can only do groups of 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, 2 to the 3, which is pretty much 2, 4, and 8. So you can do groups of 2, which if we wanted to, we can. The only thing about groups of 2 and everything is just it's just a lot more work up front, and then you eventually just narrow it down to the exact same thing at the end. Yeah. 16, don't, because you're literally looking at the whole entire thing. Yeah, you'll never get 16, but that's pretty much it. Because if you're looking at groups of 16, we have 16 numbers here. You're looking at all of them, you're gonna be like, I can't find a single one. So what someone had mentioned earlier, so we're gonna do groups of, you can do groups of 2 if you wanted to. You could look at these 2, you could look at these 2, you could look at these 2, and then you could honestly look at, I'm gonna do a different color. Again, gold. You could look at this one and this one, because remember, it wraps around and everything. Ultimately, in the end, you're still going to narrow down to the exact same one. Because you're going to get, you know, you're still going to get your, in this row right here, you're still going to get your W and your X. Sorry, your W naught, I believe, is what we had in X. But it all narrows down to the exact same thing when you get towards the end. So larger you can group initially, yeah. It simplifies it more towards the end. It's less work for you towards the end if you can group it that way. You always want to try and do your groups exactly the same. So you always want to have all of your groups as like 2 or 4 or 8. If you do anything like group, like you have one group of 2, one group of 4, one group of 8, it just kind of complicates it in the long run. So do we have any other questions, guys, before we all go to bed and take this exam in the morning? One more question. Could you go over the NAND gates version of the SR flip-flop and its truth table real quick? So the SR flip-flop SR flip-flop, and we're going to do it with a NAND. You can do either one. So an SR flip-flop comes over to a NAND gate, comes out. That is, I believe, Q naught. Then you have your R, comes over to a NAND gate, and I believe that is your Q. Yeah, I'm gonna try and post the recordings in the Discord tonight and everything. I'm just gonna see when it finishes, you know, pretty much compiling it. I didn't do it on Cloud via Zoom, and the only reason why I didn't do it on Cloud via Zoom is because I've heard a lot of people having troubles where like they record it and then it just like takes forever. Whereas I have like my laptop and it can do it a lot faster. So you're gonna have your S, you have your R, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So the characteristics should realistically be the same. So you're gonna have your Q of, and I believe it's like T plus 1 or something like that. Let me just grab it real quick.
QT and then QT plus 1.
Yep. Were you asking for truth table? Yeah, truth table. Sorry, QT plus 1.
So you can do like 8 table because for each SR we gotta have 2 QT.
Mm-hmm.
Like SR00 we have to check with the 1 first, and then we have to check with 0.
Yep.
So it have to be 8 table.
So yeah, so like you had said, so you're gonna have 0, 0, you're gonna get a 1 here, and then I'm just looking at the truth table real quick that he gave us. So you're gonna have a 1 here. Yeah, you can do 8 and everything like you had done before. So we're gonna do, let me erase this real quick and then start all over. So we're gonna do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. All right, so we're just looking at these 3, and then we're gonna give you the QT plus 1. The characteristics table I'll give you in a second. So on 0, 0, 0, I'm trying to find right here in our notes. I believe 0, 0, 0 is no change, just as always, but I'm just trying to double check and see real quick.
No, and the AND gate, because he teaches, professor shows us with the NOR gate, and over here we are doing with the NAND gate. So on the NAND gate, it should be undefined. So you can put the output of S and R, input S and R 0, 0, and then you can put Q as 0 here. And if Q is 0, Q bar will be 1.
So yeah, so just 1 right here, right?
No. You have to figure it out to the flip flop. You have to put Q as 0.
Oh yeah, you have to go through
Q
and
equal to
everything.
0, and then Q bar will be 1, and then you have to put the input on the flip flop, and you have to check each time.
Yep. So yeah, so it is, so pretty much like what he said, you have 0 here, you have 0 here. Q is equal to 0 at first. This becomes 1. This comes down. You have 1 and 0, which according to our NAND gate table all the way up top, so you guys can follow along, is 1. So then we come all the way back down. So this is 1, 1 and 0, you get 1. So I believe QT plus 1 is 1. And then let me pull up. Yep. 0, 0, 1. So you're going to have right here, I'm going to erase it again. I'm going to do it in blue. So we're going to have 0, 0. This is equal to, we had it set equal to 1.
You can, no, Q is equal to 0. Q will be, put the Q output as 0 first, then it will be easy to,
We're looking at
easy
it
on the flip.
with this one right here, with 0, 0, 1. If we did it the exact same way, we would get literally the exact same answer. So if I set it to 0 again, it literally just come through and then it would just be Q next would still be 1. I believe I'm looking at the one that he gave us and everything that have on here. I'm trying to find the one that he gave us specifically because he's changed it a few times where he's done both.
Yeah,
and
if you check his notes, check that was a NOR gate, and you are here doing as a NAND gate.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be different.
Well, he's given us a NOR gate 2 before. Or sorry, he's given us a NAND gate 2 before, which I'm trying to look at and see if I can find.
Okay. So the QT plus 1 should be undefined here.
Mm-hmm.
ওয়ার্ডেরটা বুঝাইছে বাতিজে?
Yeah, I'm just trying to double check right now. Here we go. So this is the characteristic table in case you guys want to see it, which I found and everything. So if we have S, we have R, just so that you guys can see it, it's pretty much the exact opposite. So Q, when it comes out and everything, or Q of T plus 1, whichever one you want to call it, you have 0, 0, which is undefined. You have 0, 1, which is 1. 1, 0, which is set to 0. And then you have 1, 1, which is no change.
Exactly. That's right.
So that's the undefined one.
The first one is the undefined.
Is this the case with the NAND gate characteristic, or which one you showed here?
This is the one with the NAND gate down here.
Can you pull this a little bit up for me?
Yep.
So this is for the NAND gate characteristic, right?
Yes, we have the NOR gate characteristics up here. If you want me to show you real quick.
Please.
It is, this is for the NOR gate characteristic. If you notice, it's pretty much right here. I'm gonna,
1 second.
so where it says charac tables, that's the characteristic tables.
For the NOR
For
gate?
the SR. Yeah, for the NOR gate with SRs.
I think NOR gate one, he already gave it to us, right?
Yes, he already gave us the NOR gate. So down here at the bottom, this is the one for the NAND gate, which I doubt he's even going to ask because he hasn't mentioned it at all. But just in case, this is it.
Okay, so
are you sure that the second one, 0, 1, that is 0? I think that 0, 1 on the AND gate, it will be 0, reset to 0, I guess. Are you checking the notes or the second one, 0, 1?
Mhm.
0, 1 should be 0 and 1, 0 should be 1.
Which one
Yep,
you talking
sorry, I
about?
was looking at the flip
Characteristic
flop
or
right here.
Yes, right here, yep.
Yeah,
So
I was looking at
0,
the wrong one. Sorry.
yeah, 0, 1 should be 0
0, and this is 1. So
and
it's pretty
1,
much
0
just
should be
swapped.
1. That is right. So 0 will be, we're resetting this as a 0, and then 1, 1, 0, 1, we are set it to 1,
Mm-hmm.
right?
0, 0 is undefined. 1, 0, 1, 0. 1, 0 is 1.
Right, Smith? Am I
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Can you please move up the slide on the gate level for the multiplexer and demultiplexer, please?
Oh, up to here.
Yeah,
It's going to be sideways.
that
just
one.
letting you
That
know.
one, yes.
So the reason why
So
is because it's very big. This is the multiplexer part with the register, which the registers are literally just a D flip flop.
yes, so this is this on the gate level.
Yeah, this is at the gate level. This is the demultiplexer part. It's been about 3 hours, Daniel.
Oh
which I'm
man,
about to
you
get
did
off in
a
a
you did a
minute.
wonderful job, bro.
So that is that. So Juan, which one are you asking about? When Q and Q bar are 0, right? What are you talking about? On the SR. So what? So it's undefined when it's constantly changing, I believe, is what I remember correctly. So right here, yep, I'll try to post these notes tonight and everything before I go to bed. But from what I remember, it's when it's constantly changing. Because what happens is the circuit is trying to balance itself out so that Q is 0 and Q naught is 0, or Q is 1 and Q naught is 1. It's trying to be balanced and everything. When it's pretty much, when it's undefined is when it's constantly changing. So it'd be like, I believe it was 1, 1 and everything. So if you have 1 and 1 here, it's constantly changing. Q will be 0, then it goes up to like Q naught. I'm not sure if it's 0, but just to say, like, if Q starts off as 0, Q naught then goes up, and then it's a NOR gate. So it'd be 1 and 0, which is 0, and then that comes down, and then that's 0, and it just depends. What it is it's just when Q and Q naught are constantly changing after every single cycle. That's pretty much it, guys. Any last minute questions before I sign off and upload the recording and then also the notes?
We're gonna find the recording in the same what do you call that? In the same link, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna post it to the Discord where you guys found the link and everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll
So
pin
if
it.
you just copy and paste the link in the Discord, we can go through as like recording.
Yep, that would pretty much be it. Anything else, guys?
I appreciate,
Can you
bro.
explain
Thank
the
you.
word one?
What's up?
The word.
The word one? Yeah,
Yeah.
so the word one we kind of talked about and everything. I'm not sure. I believe I erased it and everything. So the word one, we kind of talked about it as a class. We couldn't remember the question that he asked because he had vaguely talked about it. But pretty much from what I remember is if he asked you to draw for it, we had the input 0, the input 1, and then the input 2. And then pretty much you had the lines out of it. And then pretty much you had your selector bits down over here and everything. And then you just had your D flip-flops right here. But I can't remember the question that he asked. Pretty much like he didn't even tell the TA about this question. But pretty much it's like you pretty much have the input come here into there. You have the Q come over to here. You have your clock, which will come down to here. And then it will also connect up to here with an AND gate that's sitting here. And then after that, it just runs all the way over to an OR gate at the end. And you're going to have D flip-flops above this one too. And that's pretty much it. That was pretty much the extent of what all of us could remember, because he didn't even he barely mentioned it in the review. He's like, oh, I might ask a question about it. And we're like, what's the question? And he was like, he didn't really
The
mention
bottom
it that way.
circle, is that anything meaning or you just did it?
For what, drawing it and stuff like that?
No, the bottom circle you just did on under the clock.
Oh yeah, so that one I didn't really mention it. That is going to be, let me pull up my notes real quick so that I can show you guys. I'm going to just pull up my notes instead of redrawing it all over again, because it's going to take a little minute. Yep. It is this part right here.
Okay.
So this is what we were talking about.
This
So
is the picture, whole picture.
yeah, this was the whole picture. That MAR is from the bottom part, but that circle that I drew, that was for this
Can you
part
pull a
down here.
little bit up for me, please?
Mhm.
So I can have all the.
That's pretty much it. That circle was pretty much where that arrow's pointing. It's for those AND gates at the bottom that then run all the way up to the top and everything.
How the question will be asked if asked, like for this question, like answer for, like give me the design for 4 words with the.
Yeah, he might ask, like, give me the design. I know he had mentioned it in class one time where he said, give me the design for, 4 words with 3 inputs and like 2 bits. Or he might ask, 2 selecting bits, sorry. Or he might ask, give me the design for 3 selecting bits, 4 words, and yada, yada, yada. So what the 4 words are is the inputs.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me pull it up.
So
So the words
then
are,
you're gonna answer this diagram.
yeah. And then you have the S of 0, S of 1, and everything. So remember, so when you have these S, the selector bits, the amount of outputs is going to be 2 to the n. So if you have 2, it's going to be 4. If you have 3, it's going to be 8. If you have 4, it's going to be 16. I think he's going to ask for either 8. He said he might ask for just one word, like just for not one word, but like one column. So like just one of these, and that's pretty much it. But he vaguely answered it, but didn't really answer it. Like he didn't really mention it.
Okay. Thank you very much, though.
No, anytime. You guys have any other questions before I sign off?
I think we are good.
All right, guys. All right, guys. It was nice to do the review with you. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I might not be able to answer it before tomorrow morning because right after this, I'm just going to upload the notes and then go to bed. So
Thank
see
you
you
very
guys.
much for your efforts. Appreciate it.